Hi, welcome. I'm Jennie Pearl,
And I'm Dylan Wilder Quinn.
and we want to talk a little bit about some material that's related to some upcoming workshops that we have online programming. And so I wanted to start out with a question for you, Dylan. So my question is, what has your experience been like around loneliness as a white person in this work?
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Thanks for that question. I think about the word lonely. I think that honestly, I didn't really know how lonely I was in this work until I became connected in this work. I think that as a white person, I was kind of socialized through my whiteness to think about racism. So I was like in undoing my whiteness, it's all if I'm not suffering, I'm not doing it right. And granted, undoing whiteness is about giving up power. It is about centering people of color. Um, but it's also about building resilience so that we can make this movement long term and sustainable.
Mm.
Um, and so for me, I remember the first time I really started talking vulnerably and in depth with other white people about my racism, about being like, ooh, here's this part of me I still don't like about myself, or there's this part of me that I still don't know. I don't know all the answers, or I think I messed this up and I don't know what to do. And being heard and hearing responses, hearing similar experiences, hearing those resources. Um, I felt connected. I felt relief. I felt joy in my body, and I also felt like, oh, now I know. Now I have more ideas about how to not cause harm, or how to correct harm, or how to undo systems of oppression more. And so the yeah, I didn't realize how much I had been building up anti-racism to be this lonely thing until I started to feel connection.
Mm, thank
Yeah. How about you?
you.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening.
I love that how you're saying it too, that you didn't really know, like you weren't really, you didn't know you were isolated until you felt connection in this work with other white people, or what, and so that really resonates for me, and reminds me in this work of racial justice and social justice, how often that mentality of like, I got to figure this out and I got to do the best work I can. And I keep coming back to all of the teachers that are reminding us to do this as a collective and to not try and do it by ourselves. And oh, there's just so much, there's so much kind of grinding us into like, no, no, do it all yourself and do it really well. And so I really appreciate, in our relationship, that we can be really real with each other, and mess up and be like, hey, how does this feel for you? And getting to know each other more on a personal level. And I think that that's a really important level of the way that both of us approach our work and want to work with other white people, is to get to know all of you on a real level and start to invite in more conversation of how can we be more connected, how can we be more resilient in this work, so that we talk about in the description, we want to take away some of the emotional labor that people of color over time have, and still do have, to put up with. And so I think about, in my own learning of my racism and unlearning, it really began with people of color. And it wasn't until I realized how important, and people of color in my life said, why don't you work on this with your people, please work on
Right.
this with white people, that I realized that other white people, that we had this capacity to do this together. And so not only is that a responsibility that I feel as a white person, it's also extremely healing, so that we can undo that system of trying to do it alone, that capitalism, the patriarchy system, and instead finding connection and wholeness.
Mm,
Mm.
mm, thank you. I resonated with so many. My brain went in so many different directions with that. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank
This is my
you.
experience.
If
Yeah.
this resonates with you, we would love to continue the conversation. We have a couple workshops, one December 9th, one December 12th. We'd love to connect with you and learn together. So hope to see you then. Bye.
Bye.